Third Electronic Water College of Engineering and Suraj.
I am Sharon Kamare.
Myself, Abhijit Kumar.
We have implemented the mini project Smart Water Control Management, in which this is the model of our system. Whenever we see in any industry or in any building or in any college campus, we found this sub-distributive waters. Also, the water is being pumped from one source to the secondary source and secondary source to the third source. Here, this is the water source, which is nothing but the well or bore, from which we are going to pump the water into the primary tank. Suppose this is the unique tank in total area, from which we are going to sub-supply of the water from this primary tank to the secondary tank, which may be situated on any building or it may be in any apartment. Now, in our system, we are going to use the 4 modes. First one is the active mode, in which the pumping of the water from respective tanks will be automatically taken place by the systems. Various levels are maintained over here on the water source, primary tank and secondary tank, because the water can be pumped up from water source to the primary tank if there is a minimum water. We have considered this situation here, that if the water source contains the minimum water level, then and then only we are able to supply the water from here to here. In the same case, when the primary tank consists of the minimum water level, then and then only we are going to pump up the water from primary tank to the secondary tank. And if user here is demanding for the water by pressing the switch, at the same instant we have to check if the secondary tank contains the minimum water level, then and then only we are able to get the water from this secondary tank. In all the situation, we are going to consider the overflow of these tanks, because if the overflow occurs, the respective motors will be switched off. This operation will be continuously going on, and this will be monitored by our system. Now, in the 4 modes, first one is active mode, in which the system will be parallelly working on. In off mode, we have to close the first system, because if we don't want to use the water for 2 days or 3 days, because we are going out of our home, so we don't need to pump up the water. So we are going to switch off the system, and whatever the reserve water will be in second tank, we are going to take that water only. In extra mode, we are demanding the more water in the secondary tank, because if the guest comes or if we need the extra water, at that instant we are going to make the system in the extra mode 1, extra mode 2. We can do also extra mode 3, extra mode 4, in which this level will be increased on the last tank, and according to it, we are going to take the variable water. We are able to store the variable water in the secondary tank. Now here is our demonstration, in which this is the water source, this is the primary tank, this is the third tank, and this is the pot or any vessel in which we are going to take the water from the secondary tank. Here, this is the circuit in which 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 are total sensors which are implemented in these tanks at different levels. In these tanks at different levels, the transistor as a switch, the working of the transistor as a switch is implemented here, and the respective water level is sensed, and these water levels are given as input to the microcontroller, and the microcontroller is getting the input from all the sensors, whether the respective level contains the water or respective level is detected by the water or not, and then that is manipulated in this microcontroller, and respective control signals are generated, and those signals are given to these relay circuits, and these relay circuits switch on and off the respective motors which are situated in these tanks, and the particular motor gets switched on, and then the pumping of the water will take place. Now, the PC547 transistor is used as a switch, and the sensor is implemented, in which the wire from the base is dipped into the water, or it is connected to the surface of the tank, and the 5-volt supply is being drawn into the water level. Whenever there is water, then this wire and this wire will get short. It means there will be the connection and so minimum amount of current will be drawn, and this will be given to the base of the transistor. That's why this transistor will be get switched on, and the respective 5-volt level will be given to the microcontroller. It means depending upon the working of the transistor switch, we are able to identify whether the respective level is reached with water or not. This is implemented. Now the demo. Here we are already set up the demo in which this water source tank does not contain minimum water, because approximately we have marked the sensor here. Minimum water level sensor is marked over here, so we have to fill up this tank with water. Before that we can analyze this. Suppose our system is in active mode and the water source does not contain any water, so pumping of the water will not take place from this tank to this tank, because we are observing that this pipe does not contain any water. Also same situation will be happen because primary tank also is not full of, or this does not contain any minimum water level here also, so water will not be pumping from this to this. Also the same situation will be happen over here. This tank is not fill up with water because the water level is below the minimum level, because approximately we have marked the sensor over here. So now let's start the demonstration. Here the system is in active mode. It means the respective water will be pumping, respective water pumping will be taken place. So for that we have to fill this tank with water level. As soon as it contains the minimum water level, the pumping of the water will be take place from this tank to the secondary tank. So as we are observing that secondary tank is being filled with water. Now when secondary tank consists of the minimum water level, then we are able to pump the water from this primary tank to the secondary tank. So the water in this level is being filled. When it comes to the, because here we have to observe that this tank is not filled with the minimum water level, because this M1 motor is switched off, so we have to fill this tank with more water. So now it is full with water. It contains the minimum water level. While we have to observe in primary tank, it is pumping, this motor is continuously on, but this tank does not contain minimum water level, so it is being filled with water level. Now in this tank the water is being filled from the primary tank to the last tank, and this tank is with minimum water level, and we are able to pump the water from third tank into the user input. If we are going to make the switch on over here, then we are getting the water in this bottle. It means user can access the water. Now observe here the status of this tank. This tank does not contain the minimum water, because the level in this water is below this sensor. It means it does not contain minimum water. That's why this motor is off and the water pumping will not take place. At the same time, the pumping of the water from this tank is also not taking place, because the level in this tank is also below the minimum level. For that we have to fill this water again. Now if we make the switch off, then the water in the output side will be definitely switched off. So motor will be definitely switched off, and it is switched off. So in the second tank the water level is below the minimum water level. In the first tank the water level is below the minimum water level, and in third tank the water level is above the minimum water level, but we are switched off this motor. Now let's check the overflow condition. We are going to fill the second tank with water. So the pumping from the second water will be taken place. At the instant, source will also fill with water, and so secondary tank will be filling up. But if we fill this tank with full of water, then this respective motor will be switched off. Let's observe. If this tank is filled with full of water, and if the overflow sensor is sensed, then pumping of the water from the source will not take place. We are observing that this motor is switched off. Now at the same instant, third tank will be switched off when it is overflow, and this level is sensed. At the instant, if you want to pump the water from the third tank into the user input, then we have to make the switch on, then we are able to get the water into the bottle. When we are marking more than one mode, then total system will be off, because the controller will not be able to identify whether system has to work in active mode, off mode or extra mode. That's why none of the working will be taken place. If three modes are activated at the same time, same situation will be happen. And if four switches are being on, then the system will also in off state. Now let's make the system in off mode. Then in off mode, all the pumping of the water from water source to the primary source tank and primary tank to the secondary tank will be off. We are able to get only the reserve water which is in the third tank. We are able to get the water which there is a third tank. So here in this bottle we are able to get the water. If we make the switch off, then the water water supply will be cut off. Now this water we have to fill up this first tank with the water.